Hello, everyone. This is Lakeisha, and I thank you for joining me for another discussion. And this one, ladies, or gents, because it's been told to me that not just women are listening, but sometimes men will tune in. So thank you also for listening, because I do mention you guys sometimes. Um, but I just want you guys to be a little patient with me this time because this is something that's close and dear to my heart. Um, all of my topics are really, but this is one that I know is difficult for a lot of people. It's been difficult for me. We're discussing women and why should we forgive? Okay, why it's important that we learn to truly let go of offenses and things that have hurt us, people who have hurt us, situations, and to learn to get past them and to forgive. And the truth of the matter, ladies, I've learned uh, that it's not about the other person, the people. It's about me. So I'm gonna do my best to. This is mostly unscripted. Some of my other podcasts or discussions I put out, I do try to type up and put my thoughts on paper first and go over it. Because I don't want to just ramble on. I mean, of course, I have a specific message. I want to get to it and get it out and make sure it's in the right order so you guys can understand it. This particular message, it's so much of it, I'm just going from my heart for the most part, okay? And I will, at some point, may even have to elaborate on this one. Feel free to send me a message regarding this. If you click at the bottom of the recording that's on Spreaker, you can email me at mail@lakeishaspeaks.com. Okay, so let's get started. The order for me and how I look at forgiveness is first, you have to get to a point where you forgive your offender. Um, Number two, you have to ask for forgiveness yourself. Um, it depends on what the circumstances were. If it's something that you contributed to it. If you're honest with yourself, this is people who truly want to be set free of this heaviness that unforgiveness carries. Okay, if you actually want to be honest with yourself, then you're going to ask for forgiveness for that person for the part that you may have played in that. Me myself, the other part that's very important to me is that I ask God for forgiveness. Okay, I ask Him for forgiveness for whatever part I played in it. I ask Him to forgive me for having unforgiveness towards the other person or persons. Okay. The third one, so the asking for forgiveness, two parts go with that, depending on the circumstances. Sometimes it may be just one, but I always put God in everything that I do, so that's me. Okay. Number three, forgive yourself. That's really important. You can forgive the person, but if you suddenly realize after actually thinking about this thing all over again that may have occurred between you or you and these other parties or person, that you actually contributed to it and you're honest with yourself, then you may feel guilty for what you feel like you've done to hurt them. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that too. You cannot hold on to guilt as either. You have to let that guilt go and you have to forgive yourself. If you've asked for forgiveness, you've already done the right thing. Okay? If you tried to make amends, you've done the right thing. You can't do any more than that. You have to forgive yourself. And the last one is to just leave it with God. That's one that I do. If you're not particularly believing in God, then I would say release it. Just move on with your life. You just have to let it go. Okay, now this is kind of like my outline for how I would do it and how I have had to do it, is I would go over the complete story, number one, with myself. Okay, so I just gave you the four main steps as to how to look at it, to move forward and try to forgive. But now I'm going to just kind of break it down a little bit. Number one, the forgiving the offender, getting over the offense. That's where you're going to have to do reflection and analyzing of the situation. And I'm not talking about analyzing so to the point where you drudge up the whole memory of it again, and now you're upset again. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sitting. If you got to sit with a piece of paper and pen, pencil, whatever, and write out everything you can possibly remember about the situation. If you having a memory lapse and you know someone, a mature person, okay, that you can go talk to, whether it's a family member or a friend or somebody else that might have been involved but weren't directly involved, but they witnessed the so-called offense. And I say so-called because sometimes when we go over things, we realize it wasn't what we thought it was. But that's another thing. So let me just stop there. But let me just continue to say, sit down and write out everything that you can remember, okay? Put it in black and white. What you felt, what they said, not what they felt, because you don't know what they felt. You only can go by you. But you know what they said, you know how they were acting, you know what it is they had done. So if you have a third party that you have to consult because you can't remember all details or whatever, let them know you're not trying to do this. Reassure them that you're not trying to go through this again for purposes, or your motive is not asking them to relive it due to your need to see, but that you need to see if things could have been done differently. Your reason for doing this is not to dig it up and dig up the old wounds or gossip about it. That's not the point to this, okay? It's to really remember and think about things and just kind of do it somewhere where you got quiet, you know what I'm saying? No one can bother you. If you have to use a third party, like I said, make sure you give them the disclosure that what you're trying to do so that they don't, get on the defense and think, oh, Lord, why are they bringing this up again? Whatever. And already have gone through that process of reflection, analyzing, and writing things out yourself first before you take it to the third party, if you require a third party. Okay? So I hope that I made that clear as possible. That's step one to me, is to kind of relive it in your mind, to remember all the details, to think it out. No matter how painful it is or hurtful it is to remember, it's important to do this. You're trying to release you. This is something you're doing for you. Okay? I'll go more into that at the end as well. Number two, doing this falls into number two. What you're doing this for, what you're writing this out for, reliving it, thinking about it, doing this whole reflection thing, is to find the origin of your hurt, find the origin of your offense that you are carrying, the grudge, the bitterness, the anger that you're carrying around for whatever it is that took place. And if you can truly be honest with you, and you can be in a room by yourself with no influence, and where you can truly think about it, and you're ready to relive this, then you're probably going to find where your offense really lies. And it may not be where you originally thought it was. Okay? Everybody's situation is going to be different. But the point of the matter is to really get to what really hurt you. You can think that you were hurt by one thing on the surface. Okay? But when you go and sit down and really think about it and write it out, it may be more to, it may reveal more in the sense of, it may be that hurts you, but as you start to write it out, you may realize, wow, you know what? That wouldn't have hurt me if I didn't already think like this, or if I hadn't have already been subjected to this when I was this age, or, really, that writing it out and thinking about it does wonders. I do it all the time. Number three, after finding out the origin of the hurt, then try to think about it. Step away from it and try to see if there's anything you could have done differently. Be honest with yourself about what you may have done or not done, or said or not said, that could have prompted the reaction that offended you. Okay? And I'm telling you, I know that sounds weird, but it is very true. You'd be surprised how many times you would think about it and realize, okay, this person did offend me, but I'm just realizing now after speaking with them. That's why communication is very important in any relationship, marriage, friendship, family, whatever. Okay, communication is key, and honesty with that communication is key. All right, being blunt, but not so blunt that you're hurting people's feelings. But sometimes some things can be said as what's the word for it? I'm looking for. You can put as much caution to it as you like, but it doesn't mean that it's still not going to be offensive in nature. But that's okay. Because if your point is to really get it out and let them know how you feel, sometimes, I don't care how well you try to put it together, it's not going to come out to the point where they're going to be like, oh, so glad you said that. That just made me feel great. No, it may offend them a little bit or make them feel a little bad or make them feel sad. But the point is for you guys to get through, to figure out how you can change things how you can agree to disagree, but still respect one another's differences, okay? So it just depends, but it needs to be done. That needs to be done. I know this can be a difficult task to take on because most people don't like to admit that they are wrong. And they dang sure, dang, I'm not cursing, okay? Don't, once it has been proven, like to apologize, okay? That's another problem with a lot of people. It's hard for them to express their feelings, especially to say that they're sorry, that they apologize. I don't really like to say sorry, but that they apologize. So you have to be honest with yourself, and that way you might be able to go back and speak with that person if you all still are in contact, and to make amends. Let them know, look, you know what, this is why I was not talking to you or have not been talking to you, because I realized that what you did, that hurt my feelings or that offended me, but I'm now understanding why that offended me so. Because when you talk to them, you may find out probably 8 times out of 10 that they didn't even know what they said or what they did offended you. Everybody has a different set of principles, and that's why it's important that we understand and we're open to listening to what other people feel about different things. That's why it takes time to get to know folks, okay? You can't rush stuff, especially like I tell you ladies all the time. It's important not to rush into marriage and all these other things that we would love to do. But if you can have these kind of misunderstandings with your family members, with just, your real close friends, like extended family, can you imagine what that would be if you don't get certain things understood, get an understanding on certain things before you tie a knot with someone? Because a lot of the offenses in communication, a lot of times, is misunderstandings. I'm sorry, it is. I've been here long enough, and this is what I've experienced a lot of times. And I know it has to do with different people's personalities, but it is very much so something that we need to take serious, because that whole thing, it just hurts my feelings to know that a lot of people are not speaking to their loved ones, especially parent and child. I mean, it's sad, and I'm sure you guys know people like that. And if somebody could really sit down with them and listen to the story, I'm telling you, you probably will see, oh my gosh, were you thinking this when you said that? Or was it kind of like, and that person's like, oh yeah, how did you know? I've done it before. I've seen it happen. And it's like, oh my God, if they weren't open to allowing me to get in the middle a little bit, they might not still be talking. Okay. And I've had it with my own situations with me and a girlfriend of mine. We're so close, but we're very strong and we're a lot alike. And it turns out sometimes we actually will have a lot of misunderstandings in communication, but because we're open to, okay, let's talk this out, we will always see where the misunderstanding came in. And sometimes it may be on my side, sometimes it may have been on her side. But guess what? The next thing is we're open to saying, oh, okay, I thought you meant, or I wasn't thinking that. Oh, I see where, okay. Oh, you thought that. I apologize. I apologize. And she'll do the same for me. And this is why we've still been friends to this day. And it's been years. But if we had not had that, I could see a few times we had disagreements or even arguments, okay? They got a little heated where we might not have been friends anymore because we're so strong and we're more like family now, okay? So in conclusion, I like to say this. If there's any action that you can or need to take based on the outcome of your research in doing the reflection and analyzing of the events or the event that took place to lead you to having unforgiveness, anger, bitterness, or holding a grudge, and then you go into the origin, you figure out from doing that process of writing everything down and going over it that you realize where the offense took place. And number 3, if you actually contributed to the offense, then in conclusion, if so, do the right thing and make things right with the other person or parties. If your circumstances don't allow for you to make it right personally, then make peace within yourself. And for those of us that believe in God, also make peace and ask God to forgive you, so that you can move on without the stench, okay, of the situation in your life, because it really holds you up, not the other person. 9 times out of 10, you're holding a grudge for something they could care less about. They're not even thinking about you anymore, okay? If you do not believe in the Lord, then at least you have worked through a situation that otherwise may have gone unchecked and caused you a hindrance in your life. Okay, I told you guys before, a lot of things that people do in making decisions have a lot to do with how they was raised. I mean, think about it. When you make decisions, you make them based on a set of rules or principles, something that you live by, and you do it so quickly you don't think about it. So, but it's a combination of all the things that you've experienced, all the things that you were taught, but you make these decisions. Okay, So if you got a bunch of mess in your life and you don't